5 creepiest home invasions that will make you never feel safe again. You're home alone. It's late. All you can hear is the ticking of the clock on the wall. Then, a soft knock at the door. You weren't expecting anyone. So who is it? You open the door and there's no one there. But that's just the beginning. Something's out there and it's not going to stop until it finds you. Every night, we lock our doors, close our windows, and try to sleep, telling ourselves we're safe. But the truth is, safety is just an illusion. Tonight, we're diving into 5 true stories of home invasions that shattered the lives of those who thought they were safe. What happened to them could happen to anyone. The terrifying truth is, some intruders don't just come to take things, they come to take your peace, your safety, and sometimes, your life. If you think you're prepared for what's about to come, think again. Before we begin, I want you to think about this. What would you do if you were in their shoes? Would you survive? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Story 1. The Silent Watcher. Mark and his family had lived in the same house for years. It was a picture-perfect neighborhood, the kind you see in magazines, quiet, safe, and family-friendly. But over time, something started to feel off. Late at night, the family would hear soft scratching sounds coming from the windows. At first, they thought it was just the wind or a tree branch brushing against the glass. But soon, the scratching became rhythmic. It wasn't wind. It was deliberate. One night, after a long, exhausting day, Mark decided to investigate. He grabbed a flashlight and checked the perimeter of the house. His heart raced as he slowly walked around, trying to ignore the creeping feeling that someone was watching him. But he found nothing. The noises continued. The scratching, now accompanied by whispers, soft, unintelligible voices. But it wasn't until the 3rd week that the nightmare truly began. Mark's wife woke up in the middle of the night to find the kitchen light on. It wasn't unusual, as Mark often stayed up late working. But as she passed the window, she saw something she couldn't explain. A dark figure standing motionless in the yard, staring directly at her. But when she blinked, it was gone. The next morning, Mark checked the yard. There were no footprints, no signs of anyone having been there. But that night, the figure was back, closer than ever, standing at the window, eyes glowing in the moonlight. Mark decided to confront the intruder. Armed with only a crowbar, he stepped outside and shouted into the darkness. But there was no response. Then, just as he was about to turn around, he heard a voice, low, raspy, and chilling, whisper his name from the shadows. "Mark, I see you." The family never heard the whispers again. But every night the scratches returned. And the shadow was always watching. It wasn't until Mark installed security cameras that they finally got an answer. But what they saw on the footage was something they'll never forget. Story 2. The Man in the Attic. Clara had always dreamed of living in an old farmhouse, a place full of history and character. When she found the perfect one in a remote part of town, she was ecstatic. The house had everything she wanted: high ceilings, large windows, and a cozy attic that she could turn into a studio. But there was one thing she didn't expect. The attic was strange. At first, Clara didn't think much of it. The house had been empty for years, and the attic was just full of old furniture covered in dust. But after a few days, Clara started hearing noises from up there. It wasn't the usual creaking or settling of an old house. house. These sounds were distinct. Footsteps, followed by the dragging of something heavy across the floor. Terrified, Clara would go up to check, but every time there was nothing there. No sign of anyone. Nothing moved. One night, Clara decided to stay up and wait, determined to catch the intruder in the act. She grabbed a flashlight, her hands shaking, and quietly crept up the stairs to the attic. The door creaked as she slowly pushed it open, and that's when she saw it. A figure, standing motionless in the corner, its face hidden by the darkness. She froze in fear. The figure didn't move. It just stood there, watching her. Then, just as she thought she couldn't take it anymore, the figure turned slowly, revealing its pale, lifeless eyes. It spoke in a low voice. "You should have left." Clara screamed and ran down the stairs. But as she reached the front door, it slammed shut on its own. She turned to see the figure standing behind her, closer than ever. And that was when the true horror began. Clara was trapped in the house with a man she couldn't explain, and no way out. She made it out, but not before she saw a reflection in the glass. Someone was still up there in the attic, watching her every move. Story 3. The Midnight Intruder. James had just moved into a small, affordable apartment in the city. The place was nothing special, but it had everything he needed. One night, after a long shift, he returned to his apartment and immediately noticed something wasn't right. The door was ajar. He swore he'd locked it when he left. Cautiously, James stepped inside. His heart pounded in his chest as he scanned the room. Everything was in place, until he saw the mess. His couch cushions were tossed onto the floor, his drawers wide open. Someone had been inside, going through his things. But what scared him the most wasn't the mess. It was the feeling that someone was still there. The air was thick with tension as James walked into his bedroom. The door creaked open, and then he heard it. A faint rustling noise coming from the closet. He froze. His hand hovered over the door handle. Slowly, he turned it, preparing himself for whatever might be inside. But when the door swung open, it was empty. Nothing. Just his clothes hanging neatly, just as he left them. But the chill in the room didn't go away. It wasn't until hours later, when James was trying to fall asleep, that he heard it again. A low creaking sound. And then, footsteps. Faint, but unmistakable. Someone was walking around in his apartment, and James was sure he wasn't alone. He grabbed a kitchen knife and moved toward the noise. But as he reached the living room, there was no one there. Nothing. But the feeling remained, lingering in the shadows, watching. James never saw the intruder again, but every night he heard the footsteps, and sometimes a whisper in the dark. Story 4. The Masked Men Setting. A modern home in an upscale neighborhood. Samantha and her husband, Adam, had just bought a new home in a quiet, upscale neighborhood. But one night, as they sat in their living room, something changed. They heard a loud crash coming from the kitchen. At first, they thought it was just the wind, but when they checked, the window was shattered. And standing outside, staring in through the broken glass, were two men wearing masks. They didn't move, didn't blink, just stared. Samantha and Adam ducked out of sight, their hearts racing. They called the police, but by the time they arrived, the men were gone. But the sense of unease lingered. Who were they? Why were they staring at them? The next few nights, the men returned, always watching from the windows. They didn't try to break in. They didn't try to do anything. They just watched. The couple decided to stay up one night and confront the men. They armed themselves, ready to call the police. But when they opened the door, there was no one there. Yet the masks were still there, sitting on the porch. Someone had been inside. Someone had left their mark. They never saw the masked men again. But every night, the feeling returned, eyes watching from the dark. These are just a few examples of what happens when we think we're safe. These invasions weren't about stealing things. They were about invading the mind, shattering the sense of safety we take for granted. What would you do if someone was watching you, waiting for the right moment to strike? Could you survive? We all tell ourselves that nothing like this could happen to us. But these true stories show us how quickly everything can change. So, tell me, are you really safe? If you've ever had a moment where you felt unsafe in your own home, or if this video made you think twice about your security, leave a comment below. Share your story with me. I want to hear what you've experienced. And if you want more chilling stories like this, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. You never know when the next invasion could happen, or if it already has.